Um, Looking up at the board and seeing my name at the top was really special. It was something it's a goal I've had for years now, and to kind of just see it up there was a little bit of some disbelief. But yeah, it was just a really special moment, and yeah.
Hey Thomas, Matt George from Swimming World. I wonder what it feels like you've been in a lot of conversations of the first person since Michael Phelps, and now being the youngest Olympian, male Olympian since him. I wonder what that kind of feels like, and what it's like to do this with Luca, who's someone that also has worn a lot of those labels and known that pressure for a long time.
Yeah, well, first of all, to do it with Luca, I got to know him really well this year after we were up at the Olympic Training Center together for a few weeks, and throughout this week we've kind of just been talking about it here and there, and to do it with him was really awesome, and I think it was his first one too, so I think both of us were kind of in the same boat and just really excited to do it together. And then in terms of the Michael Phelps comparisons, it's always great to be in the same conversation as him, but I'm trying not to worry about that too much and trying to take things day by day and leading up through the rest of the meet, and then through Paris. So yeah.
Nicole, and then the back.
Nicole Auerbach, The Athletic, congratulations.
Thank you.
As you're kind of talking about the Michael Phelps comparisons and things, I mean, what does it feel like when people are kind of like, okay, here's the next great swimmer, or like as you're young teenager growing up, still growing into your body, like how did you manage that type of pressure?
Yeah, I think, well, I try not to think about it. I think try to not worry about those comparisons too much. But it's honestly like the people around me who keep me grounded. Obviously it starts with my family, and then my teammates and coaches do a great job of not trying to make me up to be anything special like that, for the most part. And then all my friends just make me feel normal around them. They don't treat me like I'm any different from them, and I think everyone combined just helps me stay a 17-year-old kid and just doing day-to-day stuff like a normal teenager.
You're gonna go Lane.
Sure. Hey, congratulations.
Thank
Blake
you.
Higgins from the Wall Street Journal. And given that you made the World's team last year for Fukuoka, I'm curious to know what sort of lessons you learned from just being on that kind of international stage, because those meets are just, the senior national meets are just, or international meets are just so much bigger, better lights, etc. So, what have you learned from that, and what are you going to take into Paris?
Yeah, well, firstly, I think that trip was one of the most beneficial things that could have happened leading into this year and this meet. The format of both meets are very similar with the semifinals, and I think having that experience under my belt really helped me over the past couple of days, and just trying to swim my races smart to make it through the next round, not put too much effort into the prelim or the semifinal, or as much as I needed to. And my coach Gary Taylor told me day by day, like, I have as much experience at this kind of level as anyone else, despite being only 17 years old. So I was just trying to use that to my advantage, and kind of make it pop tonight, and I think I did a pretty good job of that. So, yeah.
Lamont.
Hi Thomas, I'm all the way back here in the last row. Talk to me about that week for you at U.S. Nationals last year, and how you were able to maintain your composure once you realized you'd made the World Championship team and then qualify in a second event.
I think last year, I don't think many people really had me making the team, and so I was able to kind of coast through a little bit under the radar, and then making that first race was really exciting and a great experience, doing it with Carson. and he kind of took me under his wing a little bit. It made it a little bit easier for me. And then after the 200 fly last year, I think it kind of took a little bit of pressure off me going into the 100 and allowed me to kind of just swim freely, and was just lucky enough to get my hand on the wall.
Caroline Routh, WRAL. I was just wondering, you're among one of the younger swimmers here. In terms of the pressure that we've been talking about, do you feel like the pressure's off a little bit because you are young? You still have, much more of your swimming career left ahead of you, or like how does your age play a factor in that idea of pressure?
I think it probably helps a little bit. I don't really feel too much pressure going into the races. The night before my prelim swim a couple nights ago was honestly the most nervous I have been the past 2 days. But once I started racing and got the first one under my belt and made it through the semis, I honestly haven't really felt much pressure since then, and I kind of gained some confidence after each swim leading up until tonight. So I think my age probably helps me a little bit compared to the other guys who have, despite me being in a world championship final, this is the biggest crowd any of us have ever swim in front of. But I think a lot of those guys having Olympic trials experience maybe played a role in it a little bit.
Hi, Thomas. David de Guzman, NBC4 in Columbus. I also used to work in Southwest and Central Virginia, so I'm familiar for where you're from. But for those that are starting to get to know you on the world stage, can you give us a sense of what Crozet and Western Albemarle is like, and what it means to you to represent that section of the country?
Yeah, Crozet's a pretty small town. There's not many people in the town that you don't really know, especially, there's only about 1,000 kids in the high school, so you get to know everyone pretty well, and it's an honor to, I guess, like you said, kind of represent the town, but it's a really amazing place, and I'm lucky that I've been able to grow up there and build the relationships with my classmates and friends up until this point, and I'm looking forward to getting back and seeing everyone. So, yeah.
Henry?
Thomas, this is Henry Bushnell from Yahoo Sports. When you were talking earlier about staying grounded and things like that, you mentioned just doing normal 17-year-old things. What are some normal 17-year-old things that you do?
Hanging out with my friends as much as possible, a lot with my teammates as well. But I'm really into sports, and if I have some free time, I'll go outside, and I have a basketball hoop that I'll shoot some hoops on, or I'll take like a wiffle ball and swing a golf club recently. But then just playing sports with my friends. If I have a Saturday night, during the fall, I'm watching college football, and so I'm really into that. And then a little bit ago, I got into chess a little bit. So every once in a while, I'll spend some time playing chess online. But just little things here and there. Just trying to kind of take up my free time however I can.
Social Kick, and then Nicole and Greg, and then we'll be done.
Thomas, John Mullen from Social Kick, congratulations.
Thank you.
Talk us through maybe how the race execution went. A little slower than the world champ swim, but I'm sure still ecstatic just to get your hand on the wall first. Maybe also talk about that last 50, coming home about 30 mid.
Yeah, the time wasn't anything spectacular, but under the circumstances, it doesn't really matter. In terms of race execution, I think my first 100, I haven't exactly looked at the splits, but I think it's the fastest I've ever been out on the first half. So I'm excited about that for the 100. But I think up until about the 185 meter mark, everything was going pretty much perfectly. I think turns, underwaters, breakouts, everything, all the small details went exactly how I wanted it to. And coming off that last wall, I planned to try to make my move underwater. And then I kind of felt it a little bit the last 15 meters, and I was actually kind of getting a little bit scared because I was like, I could feel my stroke kind of falling apart a little bit, but I feel like I held it together pretty well, and yeah, getting my hand on the wall first was just a little bit of a relief. So yeah.
Nicole again. Thomas, you're one of the great things about these types of team world championships and here are the young swimmers getting to learn from the older ones. You know, who on this team or last year's experience were people that you were like really excited to, that you've looked up to, that you were really excited to learn from? Like, who are some of those swimmers in this group, in the national group?
Last year it was definitely Carson, being one of the guys that I qualified with in the 200 fly. We kind of bonded over that, and I talked to him, of course, beforehand, and then became really good friends with him during the lead up to World Championships, and have kept that relationship up since then. And obviously he already made the team, so I'm looking forward to hanging out with him again this summer. And then I'd say Ryan Murphy and Nick Fink as the captains last year played a big role in just making everyone feel comfortable, but especially me as one of the youngest guy on the team. And then this summer, I know Caleb Dressel just qualified in the 100 free, so he's been probably the swimmer I've looked up to the most and followed the most growing up. And so he wasn't on the team last year after his comeback, but now this summer I'm looking forward to hopefully hanging out with him a little bit more.
Thomas, your coach Gary Taylor is a great coach. He's got great experience working with elite athletes. What would you say might be something that you learned from him in your association with him over the past couple of years?
Yeah, when he came into our program about 3 years ago, I was primarily just doing like freestyle and butterfly training, and that was what I was good at that point, and we were kind of just trying to focus on those two strokes. And I think the most important thing that Gary did for me and our entire team was kind of focusing on building everything as a swimmer. We worked a ton on IM, all four strokes. Spent a lot more time underwaters. Got me out of my comfort zone, doing more distance training, which I think has definitely helped, especially like in the 200. So I think just trying to challenge me in new ways, and then also, like I said earlier, just trying to keep me grounded. Obviously, we celebrate when things go well, but throughout the season, he tells me what I need to hear and not exactly what I want to hear, and he just tries to keep me on the right track as best as possible.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thanks so much. Congrats.
Thank you, guys.